Hello, Mr. Fry's Algebra 1. I'm taking a look at your Unit 5 Homework 3, Solving Systems by Elimination, Day 1 assignment. And I'm going to take you through the odd ones. I would like you to try the even ones on your own. Here we go. For number 1, what we're going to do is I'm going to take one of these. I want to get to where I can eliminate one of the variables. So I'm going to work on, and you could go either direction you want. I just happen to choose the x on this one. So I'm going to just multiply it by 4 so that I have a negative 4x, and so that the x's cancel out. So if I'm going to multiply this by a 4, I got to multiply each term. I have to multiply this y by 4. I have to multiply this 1 by 4. Okay? And so this one, this arrow signifies the change that I made. And then nothing at all changes in the second equation. So I eliminate my x values and I'm adding these two systems of equations, these two equations. I'm adding them up. I'm adding the system of equations up. So 4y plus y is going to be 5y, and then 4 plus a negative 14 gives me negative 10. I just divide both sides by 5, and I get y equals negative 2. I plug that negative 2 into either one of these equations. Pick the easier one that seems easiest to you and solve for x. So I did that. I plugged in negative 2 here for my y in that first problem, and I solve for x, and I get x equals 3. Notice that I had a negative x. I had to then get rid of the negative because I want to know what x is, not what negative x is. So if I get rid of the sign on this side, I have to, or change the sign on this side, I have to change the sign on that side. So I get x equals 3. Notice in number 3, hopefully you're pausing this as we're going through. In number 3, I hit the negative. I made this negative here. So each term I made negative so I can cancel out my x's. So now I have negative 5 equals 5 when I put these two equations together. And solving for y, I get y equals negative 1. I plug in that y value into the first problem because that seemed the easiest to me. So negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2, and then I subtract 2 from both sides. That's an ugly 10 there, sorry. 10 minus 2 gives me 8, so x equals 8. So there's my x and my y. X and y. For number 5. For number 5, this one's already set up. I don't have to change anything. So actually number 5 is the easiest one. It's easier than 1 and 3. I don't know why they didn't have it first, but this is all set up. You can see that I'm going to get rid of my y. So I solve for x. 2x and negative 4 plus 2 gives me negative 2. So x equals negative 1. I plug in that negative 1 for the x value, so negative 1 minus y equals 2. I end up getting y equals negative 3. For number 7, the only thing, this one was set up too, so this one's easy like number 5. Notice I have negative 3x and I have a positive 3x. My x's are ready to be eliminated, so I eliminate these two and I just add up the rest. And I end up getting y equals 1, and then I end up with 3x minus 1 equals negative 4, and I isolate the variable, and I end up getting x equals negative 1. I plugged that y value in for this one, because that one seems easier. Number 9. Take a look at number 9. I changed the bottom one so that I can eliminate the x values. Notice what I did, I just multiplied each term in that second equation by negative 1. So it just basically changed all the signs. So I end up with my y's, and I solve for y, getting y equals 2. I plug in that 2 into one of the problems, and it looks like I chose the second problem. And I chose the second problem because it looked like it was easier. So my y value, I make 2. And then I solve for x, and I get x equals negative 2. For number 11, I noticed I had to do a couple changes in order to get this where I wanted it. So I'm going to make this one, and I could have gone either. I could have done it backwards. I could have made this equation look like this equation, and change it. But I ended up making this one, look like the top one. So I wanted to get the x on one side. Didn't have to go that route, but I did. And then in order for me to do elimination, I wanted to have my 5x be minus 5x, so I get rid of my x values. And so in order to do that, I had to multiply each term by a -1. That changes the sign in each term of this equation. So I have 5x minus 5x. I have 0 now on this side of the equation. I have a 3y, and I have a 3. I want to get the y by itself now, so I subtract 3 from both sides, and then I divide both sides by 3, and I get y equals -1. I plug that -1 into that first problem because that seemed the easiest, and so I end up with 5x equals 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so x equals 1. For number 13, same thing. I had to change this one a couple times. I had to change it to look like the top one to get my y over on this side of the equation. So I just subtracted the 3y from both sides, and then what did I do? I had to, in order to get rid of the 3y, I ended up getting rid of the y's. So I just multiplied everything by a -1, so that changed the -3 into a positive 3y, so that I can get rid of it. That gave me a 2x equals -12, and -12 divided by 2 is -6. Okay, I plug in that -6 into my x, and I chose the second problem because that looked easier to me, and I end up isolating the variable y, and I get y equals -5, and you can see those steps there. In number 15, I had 2 steps in order to change the second equation into an equation where I can eliminate the x value. You can see what I did there. I ended up with the y values equaling 3. And then I plugged in the 3 into the first problem for my y, and I end up getting for the x a -4. Okay. Good luck with the even ones, and I hope this was helpful.